All right, guys, welcome back to another video. Now, before we jump in to today's video, if you are new here, you enjoy what you see, hit that subscribe button. If you're somebody who's been watching and you come back frequently and you haven't subscribed yet, hit the subscribe button. It helps the channel grow, helps get the channel out there, and it helps me to continue to make the content. So let's start off here and let's talk about the news in general throughout 2023. There's been lots of things to talk about this year. I mean, the whole ABK thing took up a huge amount of the headlines in video games. All of the insane hacks and stuff, even with the Insomniac one that just happened. We had a bunch of ones earlier in the year as well that there was that to talk about. And then there was just all the incredible games that were released in 2023, which created a ton of great news to go over and just see how these games were reviewed, rated, what people thought, and how they were performing and all that type of stuff. But when it comes to where the industry put the majority of their spotlight in 2023, the number one company that was covered in 2023 was Xbox. Now, this here says that it comes from the total number of articles from over 18,000 websites, courtesy of data from ICO via footprints. And we can see here that the most covered company was Xbox with 308,000 articles, followed by PlayStation with 268,000 articles, and then Nintendo at 244,000 articles. So out of the big three in gaming, Xbox was the company that was talked about the most and the most articles were written about when it came to video games. I'm not surprised at all about that in 2023. I mean, like I said, you had ABK, which are so many articles were being written about that throughout the entire year. Still, even today, I mean, we just talked about this the other day, that the FTC appeal, they're still writing articles about that acquisition. Xbox had a phenomenal year in terms of game releases and just the sheer amount of games that did come out. So there's going to be a lot of news about that. I mean, as well as Game Pass with their monthly stuff. There's always some hype around that. Articles are being written about that. There was the whole thing surrounding Redfall, which you could say was the negative highlight of Xbox this year, which I think created a ton of chatter across the internet. And I feel like when anything negative happens at Xbox, it's just really, really blown up and people love to talk about it nonstop. And when there is major positive news about Xbox, I mean, it's talked about, and then there's some stuff quickly that comes out to kind of potentially detract from that positive news. And we've seen that multiple times happen. So it has been an interesting year, to say the least, when it comes to news. Lots of stuff that we talked about throughout the year, and it was fun from my end as well, covering everything that was going on. And again, Xbox was the most covered company. Now, the number one covered game of 2023 was Starfield, and again, not surprising, as this was just had so much anticipation from the game being delayed initially when it was supposed to come out in 2022, to the fact that it is the first new IP for Bethesda in however long it has been, 25 years or something. And there was so much hype around this game. And when Starfield did release, there was a lot of stuff that came out that was celebrating it, positive. It was the least buggy Bethesda game. It was a great RPG, all of this type of stuff. And then as the few months went on after the release, we've seen a lot of negativity towards the game. And then just leading up to the game itself, there was a ton of hype for it. And then there was also a lot of people out there that were questioning whether it would live up to the hype. So Starfield being number one, not surprised whatsoever. You have Diablo 4 here as the number two covered game. And then you have The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom as the number three covered game of the year. So, I mean, the other thing here too is the release month of these games. I mean, Starfield came out in September, so we had all the lead up to September to talk about it, and then still talking about it now. But Xbox has been in the news the most, and I think for Xbox that's good. Whether that's good news or bad news that they are being covered for, I think it's good that people are talking about Xbox. I think this is what they need from the marketing perspective, because if you think about previous years, people are always talking about PlayStation. 2022, everybody was talking about PlayStation. And even right now, they are the second most talked about company. And probably a lot of that has to do with them being mixed in with the ABK stuff, trying to block the deal. Because when it comes to the game side of things from PlayStation, there really is nothing to talk about from their first party studios. And we still don't even know what's going to be coming out in 2024. I know I've harped on this now for the last couple of weeks, waiting for that PlayStation roadmap. And I harp on it because I have a PS5 and it sits there and it does not get used because there are no first party PlayStation games that have been coming out. So I'm hoping we get some surprises early in 2024 from PlayStation. Maybe they have a showcase themselves. I know people continuously talking about the secret showcase that has never shown up, but I'm hoping that does eventually happen. And I'm hoping that we get some surprise announcements from their first parties of stuff we are going to be able to play in 2024. I would love to see more surprises like they did with God of War Ragnarok with that free DLC. So that's the news in terms of what was the most covered. You got Xbox Starfield number one. Now, when it comes to Starfield, we talked about yesterday how it was now mostly negative reviews on Steam. And we went over the reasons why people were giving it negative reviews. And I agreed with only one of the reasons, and the rest I wasn't really too much on board with. There's also a lot of review bombing on there and stuff where people are just giving it negative reviews because Bethesda responded to the Steam reviews, and that kind of pissed people off. I even saw reviews where people were just giving it negative and they wrote, I did my part or something like that. So there is that playing into it, but there's so many reviews. I don't know if that would be the majority of it. So it's interesting because it's mostly negative on Steam, but Steam now put out their best of 2023, and Starfield is in 3 categories here. It is a top seller. It's on the platinum list. So they go by platinum, gold, and silver. So obviously you want platinum are the games that are the top in Steam throughout the entire year. I mean, it's games that you would expect. You have like Call of Duties, you got Dota, you have Destiny, you have Baldur's Gate. And Starfield is in the year's top games measured by gross revenue in the platinum department. Then it is also a game that is in the top most played in the platinum category. So this is the year's most played games measured by peak concurrent players. So over 300,000 peak players. Starfield is in that category. Then you have the Starfield here as well in the Steam Deck category. So this is the year's most played games on Steam Deck measured by daily active users, and Starfield is there in the platinum category as well. So even with the mostly negative reviews, this is not essentially hurting how well Starfield did and is most likely going to be doing going forward when new content comes out, when the mods come out, and all of that type of stuff. So just an interesting contrast there from the news surrounding Starfield. And this is why it is the most talked about game in 2023, because there's just so much stuff, both from the positive and the negative side, for articles to be written about when it does come to Starfield. You got the review side of things where people are leaving negative reviews of things they didn't like. There was the whole controversy with IGN and the 7.0 that IGN gave it, and then you saw the reviewer really had no business reviewing the game and clearly had a bias against Xbox and the acquisitions that they were going through. Then you have the stuff here where it's top selling, it's doing very well, and Bethesda is probably very happy with its overall success of the game. So that's probably the reason why it is talked about so much. All right, let's jump over here and let's talk about a game that is a mod and looks super cool, and that is Fallout London. Now, Fallout London, we do have a bit more information if you were waiting on this game to come out. It is a mod, it's not officially from Bethesda, but it's from an incredible community of people that made this game. I believe they say like there's like over 200 people that added at least something to it, and like 50 main people working on it in the beginning of this release announcement. It was supposed to be coming out a little bit earlier, but they put out an announcement here that it is content complete, but they haven't had time to polish it, and they've pushed the release of Fallout London to April 2024. If you're wondering what Fallout London is, here is exactly what they say. They say Fallout London is an ambitious DLC size mod that brings the player into the nuclear apocalypse all the way to the doorsteps of Parliament. The mod encapsulates the gritty, adventurous nature of the Fallout games with a new world, factions, storylines, NPCs, weapons, creatures, and much more. This all comes together in a package tied with a uniquely British bow. And you can see here just kind of some of the pictures that they have what they have created. It's pretty phenomenal what these people have been able to create as a mod for Fallout. It seems like it's just going to be a brand new experience that you are going to be able to jump into. If you're somebody waiting for Fallout 5, which isn't going to be coming out for a very, very long time, this is something that could probably hold you over at least for a little bit. And then you're going to have to go back to waiting for Fallout 5 again once you're done. But it looks super cool. It's something I would definitely be interested in checking out. And it's releasing on April 23rd, 2024. Unfortunately, it's only on PC right now, but maybe at some point it will make its way over to Xbox. But it's a Fallout 4 mod available on PC, and you're going to be able to go ahead and download that and play it on April 23rd, 2024. So cool to see here. And this is just the power of the modding community, what they're able to do. And it makes me think about Starfield, because Starfield has all of those planets. And if you don't think that we're going to see insane stuff like this on Starfield, I think you're probably wrong on that, because there's going to be so much potential for modders to go in there and just create some incredible space adventures to add on to the current Starfield adventure. And I can't wait to see what people do come up with. All right. When it comes to Game Pass, we don't know what's coming in 2024. We did talk yesterday about the tweet from Tim Dog, who thought that we were going to get some announcements. I think he said specifically around January 15th. Again, this is all rumors. Take this with a complete grain of salt, because none of this has been confirmed, but we're going to get some announcements about ABK games coming over to Game Pass. We don't know exactly what the announcements are going to be for Game Pass in January, whether that is ABK and then maybe a bunch of other stuff that they do have planned. But we will be getting those announcements. They come, I believe it is the first Tuesday and the third Tuesday of the month. They've switched up here and there, but that's generally when they do come out. But we do know that there are 2 games that are confirmed so far for January 2024. Now, these are smaller games, but I have to admit, they look awesome. I will be checking out both of these games. They are Turnip Boy Robs a Bank, which you can see here is just like a action pixelated old school style of dungeon crawler game where you have just weapons and you're taking out a variety of different enemies. Kind of reminds me of Nobody Saves the World, which is a game that I absolutely loved. And I mean, looks like a ton of fun. This is a game I know I will enjoy. So when I was going through this, I'm like, oh, this is planned. That's cool, because I will want to end up playing this game here. And then there's this game as well that looks absolutely phenomenal, and that is Go Mecha Ball. And it's like an action platformer. I think puzzles as well are involved in this game, and you're a little mech that goes into like a ball and blasts your enemies and stuff. And then you can see here playing as a mech as well, and you're platforming too, like I said. So I mean, this looks super cool. This one comes out January 25th. Go Mecha Ball and Turnip Boy Robs a Bank comes out on January 18th, both into Xbox Game Pass. But I'm going to leave the video there, guys. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up. If you are new here, hit that subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye.